Hey, my name's Steve. I'm one of the owners of Nelly's Motorsports.
And my name's Jordan Gilbranson. I'm going to be the guy that's kind of interviewing Steve today and just getting the whole backstory of this place and what they're all about. So yeah, we're just gonna go for it. So Steve, if you wanna share, it could be the story of how this place started, or even to where you started with this place, and then how you ended up being the owner of it, and kind of just whatever you want to share.
Sounds good. So this place kind of started. I was driving garbage truck for a living. My business partner, Cody, owned a pawn shop in town. I love the idea of a pawn shop. I thought it was super cool, and I really wanted to work here. So I was harassing him constantly to give me a job here. And he kept telling me he had an idea, but he wasn't too sure about it. And so he told me, and it was to sell used parts online, power sports equipment, and he asked if I was willing to run with it, and I was at that time. I was financially doing fine, working at the garbage place. Um, so we started building the shop in the back in the summer, just a little over 3.5 years ago, and we we basically I started out there with a wood stove and a telephone, my cell phone for taking pictures of
That's
items,
crazy.
and I think we had a jet ski, a handful of chainsaw parts, um, couple snowmobiles, and just some random stuff. And uh, so we started with that. I started tearing it apart, taking my own pictures, listing it, putting it into bins. It was cold, and there was many mornings Cody'd come out there and he'd be yelling my name because he couldn't see through the room because the smoke was so thick in there from the wood stove. It'd be freezing. I'd get here at
Oh
like
man.
6 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd stoke up the wood stove, and then I'd let it warm up for a little bit. Well, if I didn't have it set right,
Yeah.
by the time I'd go in there, you couldn't see nothing.
Oh my goodness.
One of them deals. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how it started. I decided that it was worth to do it full time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's basically kind of how it started. Started out in the back with a couple bins, and
Yeah. When you first started, were you doing the online sales side of it too, or was it just like in person, like you were selling these parts?
everything gets started on eBay.
Okay.
We we still do all of most of our stuff all on eBay, but that's where it started. Yeah. So
Man. And then so when you first started with at least this, so this used to be a pawn shop in here.
yep,
That's okay.
yep,
And that was only like 3 years ago you started doing this side of it.
yeah. It'll be 4 years. First part of November. So
Okay.
he still had the pawn shop going, and I was in the back doing the Nelly's Motorsports thing.
Man,
Uh,
that's crazy that
yeah,
this just totally took over, and
it
now it's like the
it's
whole the
it
whole thing.
started yeah it started out
Okay.
back, and I just started eating up all of his space. So his plan was to close the store, and he has another store, uh, and he was just bringing the stuff here. He was just gonna bring it there, kind of end this store. Well, it was going so good that I went from the back shed, and then I took up his back space here, and then all these shelves were filled with still all pawn shop stuff.
Yeah.
And as I started filling up bins, I'm like, I need another shelf, and
Yeah.
he'd start moving stuff around, and
Yeah, that's crazy. Now it's like it's all the way in the front. You have the red
yeah,
bins.
it pretty much engulfed this entire building.
Yeah. Man, that's very cool. And so like when you started, it was just you at least working on this part of it, and then like now how many guys is there, like including yourself, that do this?
So I got three guys that come in. One's my son. He's on here full time. He's on with us full time. I have a couple other guys that come in and just help me out with a couple veterans that just like to have something to do, and
Yeah.
so they come in and help me out. Uh, Cody is at this point not ever usually around.
Yeah.
He's got other stuff going on, and that was kind of the goal from the get-go, that he'd be able to kind of step away from it in its entirety. So he's out doing his own thing, but
Yeah.
so there's the four of us, pretty regular. Like, there's basically the four of us.
Okay, cool. And then just thought of something too with this. Oh yeah, with like had you heard of, I know you talked about a place around here doing this with car parts, but had you heard of a place doing this with like with what you do with like the chainsaws and the lawnmowers and all that?
Sure.
You'd heard of it before where they do the same thing? And like did you like ever go in and like talk to those guys and kind of see how they set it up, or was it just kind of like you were just like it just grew and you didn't really need to like check with anybody else on like how they set it up or whatever?
Yeah, that mostly is all on Cody's end. So he's sold on eBay for over 10 years.
Okay.
Through the pawn shop he had his eBay store on there, and so he had seen on there. That's how he got us familiar with just different people selling different things on eBay. And
Yeah.
that part of it's his brainchild, where he wanted to do outboards mainly.
Yeah.
Because we live in Minnesota, and what else are you gonna do in the summer anyhow?
Yeah.
So it kind of started out with that idea, and he had done a lot of the research in it, and then there was a company on eBay that we kind of followed, and we did reach out to him and talked to him a few times, asked him some questions. He was super nice about that. And then the rest of it was just kind of copycat, as far as we seen video tutorials on how to list on eBay.
Yeah.
We've seen they use certain things, and we've tried everything from, starting with the phone to these big computers to just taking photos like we do now. Just a range of different ideas that people use to do the whole eBay setup to sell on eBay.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Very cool. I think that covers it pretty well on like how it got started and stuff, and it blows me away like how fast it was, to think like you started doing it like about like 3.5 years ago or so. And then like yeah, as far as like growing, and like I know you and I talked about this a little bit before, as far as like growing in the future and what you're looking at doing, like what does that look like? Is there, and if it's kind of like you're just like I don't know, we're just growing as we grow, that's okay too. But do you have like specific things where you're like, okay, we're gonna start doing this and how to like make it bigger?
Yeah. So the majority of everything we've done from the beginning to right now actually has all been on eBay.
Yeah.
So to go farther, I guess, we just got our website up and running, which will be able to connect us to avenues like Facebook, Google, Amazon. I mean, the list goes on. There's a lot of different avenues you can sell your products on. So that's kind of what we're just starting with right now.
Okay.
We're starting to branch out on the internet side of it more, trying to get some more avenues to generate more sales and kind of keep growing that way.
Cool. Very cool, man. And then like, this was just popping in my head too. Like how common is this? I'd never heard of this before
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. Like if within like within like a 60-mile radius or 100-mile radius, how many other places do you think there are that do this? Like if you were to like guess.
There's a lot of places or people out there that have one of something. So there's a snowmobile place up in Clarissa, I believe. He has got tons of snowmobiles. I mean, outside, inside, he sells on eBay, does a lot of his own stuff kind of personally through personal business. So I think what sets us apart a little bit is our product range
Yeah.
is not just one thing. We went from starting with wanting to do mainly outboards to finding out that there's just tons of lawn and garden equipment around that people might need a part for it or whatever. So the range for us is outboards, chainsaws, lawn and garden, watercraft, boats. I mean, kind of you name it. If it's got an engine and it runs, we probably could
Yeah.
have a part for it. That
Yeah.
that type of deal. So it's kind of hard to judge. I don't know how many people around, if any, do the range that we do as far as
Yeah.
the different stuff that we sell. But there's a few out there that are bigger, one item type
Yeah.
deals. So
Okay. Yeah, man. That's super interesting. I think we'll call her good on this one. I can't think of any other questions to ask you or anything like that. Do you think there's anything else you feel like we should cover on this first podcast deal?
yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of
Okay.
the only thing I would. Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
All right.
I mean,
Cool.
pretty choppy in the beginning, I think. But
All right. We'll
don't
call her good there. So yeah, everybody listening to this, have an awesome day. That's kind of the beginning of the story with Nelly's. What's the second part?
Motorsports.
Nelly's Motorsports. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, have a great day, guys.